Any questions?
Or anything.
But otherwise, anything.
Yeah.
Some incident you want to narrate, or some whatever happened,
Yeah.
or your own experience, whatever.
Yeah, sure. I will just say I'm very grateful to be here. Four years I have been wanting to come. 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Yesterday here, first time, and it's a pleasure.
How long have you been interested in what we talk about?
Long connection with Ramana.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Maybe 30 years or more. I had this little book of Ramana, Erase the Ego, and it just used to sit around, and maybe I used to look at it, but there was that connection a long time ago, and then 5 years ago came to Tiruvannamalai and Arunachala and Ramana's place, and so there's that connection.
Yeah.
And 5 years ago I was in India also, and somebody mentioned your name, and immediately yes, something. And so, what you say, I agree with. It makes perfect sense. Events happen, deeds are done. No individual here. It makes sense, and I'm not at that point though where, you talk about never being uncomfortable with the self, never being uncomfortable with the other. That is.
I'm sorry, say that again, please.
Never being uncomfortable with the other.
Yes.
Never being uncomfortable with the self.
Yes.
Well, if I want anything, that's what I want, right? So I don't know quite how to how to achieve that state then. But yeah.
Have you been concerned with anybody else other than Ramana?
Oh well, people like Amachi, Kerala, Hugging Mother,
Yes.
or Babaji, Harakan Babaji. I've seen Mother Meera.
So many years then?
Amma 10 years, Harakan Babaji.
I see.
Quite a long time.
From that point of view, what I say, is there something different which appealed to you?
Is there something different? What?
Something different? Something different from what others say? From what I say?
Oh. I find what you say to really hit the spot.
I see.
So, although I also have this thread with the devotional thing, this is practical, what you are saying, and it's simple. It really relates to what I believe.
Yes. I would say what I say concerns daily living.
Yes.
And not what your daily living should be. What most religion tell you is how you should live according to their concept. You see what I mean?
Yes.
Whereas what you really want to do is a practical advice,
Yes.
which would apply not to everybody. You see, why do I say that? What I say applies only to someone like us, reasonably comfortable in life. Whereas a religion is supposed to concern everybody. Therefore, I think religion has done more harm to the understanding
Yeah.
than any other single thing.
Yeah, I'm not happy with taking on a set of beliefs from somewhere else.
Yes.
You know, those people I mentioned, you know, I'm a Babaji. I mean, what do I love about that? I love the atmosphere, I love the chanting.
Yes.
You know, I love that, the chanting, the Sanskrit,
Yes.
all that.
The atmosphere at Babaji would be quite different from the atmosphere in a bar.
The atmosphere. What?
The atmosphere at the ashram
Oh, yes.
would be different from an atmosphere in a bar.
Indeed. Yeah.
That I can understand.
Yeah.
But otherwise, my point is, from any other, was there anything you particularly appeal to you? From practical point of view.
Okay. I have a think about that.
Was there something specific Babaji told you? Or did he say?
Well, truth, simplicity, love. I take that from Babaji's teaching. Truth, simplicity, love. Truth,
Truth,
simplicity, simplicity,
simplicity, yeah.
love.
Love.
So these three things I
Now,
like.
what did he say about the truth?
About the
Truth.
truth.
Is there any truth in the world? What therefore, what I'm interested. What did he understand by the word truth?
Yes. I don't know. Truth. I can't answer that.
And my point is, who certified the truth?
Sure.
See what I mean?
I do see what you
So
mean.
somebody says truth, what is the truth?
Yeah. What is the truth?
Other than the opposite of falsehood.
Yeah. What do you say truth is?
I say there is no truth.
Okay, fine, good.
Why? For one reason. Everything in the universe, everything in the manifestation is functioning that we call life is duality. But if there's two things, there's a false.
Yeah, sure.
True and false
Yeah.
are interrelated opposites.
Yeah.
Therefore, I cannot imagine anything which does not have an interconnected opposite of falsehood.
Yeah.
Love exactly the same.
Sure.
According to me, love is the opposite of hate.
And they both exist.
And then, yeah, I mean, two people madly in love for the rest of next month, they hate each other.
Sure.
Therefore, truth and love are two words. And third word would be forgive.
Be?
Forgive.
Pardon?
Forgive.
Well,
Forgive.
what?
Forgiveness.
Oh, forgiveness. Oh.
Who is to forgive whom for what? He who gives the authority to whom? To forgive someone. Therefore, certain words are, in my opinion, certain words are traps
Yes.
which the masters or gurus use so that they need not answer the questions which arise.
Sure.
That's why certain words I avoid.
Yes.
Love, I would say affection, is appropriate. I would use the word affection.
So,
Love, if I were to, what do I understand by love? By word, love. It is a word is there. What I understand by love is when you feel like doing or you do something without any expectation at all,
Yeah.
without not even thanks, then you can call it love. How many cases will you find in daily living like that? See what I mean?
I do.
Therefore, for anything you usually an interconnected opposite. Love, hate,
Yeah.
wealth, poverty, health, disease. See what I mean?
I do. So, how can I get that state in which I am always comfortable with myself and always comfortable with the other?
And my concept is, no one can be never uncomfortable with herself and never uncomfortable with others if you are able to accept totally. The human being is incapable of doing anything.
I feel as if I am a long way towards understanding that, but still.
It's not a short way.
Hmm?
It's not a short way.
Not a short way, okay. Okay, so it takes time, but then maybe some people say you can just get it in an instant, and
But the point is, you can get it. It's not right. It can only happen
yeah,
if it is supposed to happen.
yes,
According to your destiny, God's will, cosmic law.
fair enough.
See what I mean?
Yeah, that's fine.
So what else?
Okay. Well, I don't know what else.
That,
I didn't come here to ask questions, really. I don't know what else.
all right, let me put it this way. Then what have you come here for? You said, I'm not come here to ask questions.
Okay.
Do you not have any questions from what the others have told you,
No.
which are not clear? Everything is clear? Everybody has told
No,
you?
I don't really care whether anything is clear or
I
not.
see, I see.
I don't care about it. I'm not bothered about any of that.
Yeah, but now, if you go to 3 people, 4 people, and you get 4 different concepts, aren't you confused?
Yeah, I'm not interested in those concepts sticking, I don't know,
So, that means you already have a body of concepts which you believe in. And you are not willing to let go of them.
Are you saying you think that I have that? You think that I have
That is-
got some concepts?
No,
and
my
some-
point is, otherwise, why would you say you are not interested?
I don't make a big effort to understand things intellectually. I don't, that's not the way I spend my time.
What you're saying, I think, is, you accept the concept only if the concept appeals to you, or it
Yeah.
happens.
Okay, so what you say appeals very much because it feels absolutely right. I have no problem with having the things that you say as a background
Yeah.
for my life. And so I'm very grateful to have that.
And feel is the right word. You can't judge intellectually a
No.
concept. So if some concept appeals to your heart,
Right. Yeah,
now, accepting that the human being is incapable of doing anything.
yeah.
That's not an easy, that's my basic concept. The human being is incapable of doing anything. Everything is happening according to God's will, cosmic law. How it affects whom is a matter of destiny. Again, God's will, cosmic law. No human being can do anything. That is the concept. It is an easy concept to accept.
Are you asking me? Is
Yes.
that easy?
Do you think it's an easy?
Well,
But did it appeal to you?
Yes, it appeals to me. Yes. Mm. But
Now, wait a minute.
still,
If it appealed to you,
yeah.
then the next time you have to make a decision in regard to a situation. What will this concept do for you? You have a situation.
Well, I would.
You are facing a situation.
Yeah.
You have to do something.
Yeah.
Or if you don't do anything, if you have done nothing,
Which won't matter. I will know that that won't matter if I do nothing, because it's all, whatever happens is happening anyway, and it's nothing to do with me.
why do you think so many people justifiably feel it very difficult to accept? Most people find it extremely difficult to accept.
Well, because they're attached to themselves creating their own reality, There's a lot of people telling us that, we can create our own reality, and so people think, oh, I do this, I do that, and this will make this happen. I don't know.
But not everybody believes he can do something, he can change things. Very few really.
Right.
And yet, it's one of the most difficult things to accept,
Right.
that I'm not the doer in any situation.
Well, it kind of wipes out the whole identity of the person, and people probably are not comfortable with feeling as if they are nothing, right?
No, I find the reason very simple. And the reason is the mechanism of daily living. The mechanism of daily living is based on every human being. In any situation, at some time or the other, is facing a situation. And he has to decide, in that situation, what do I want?
Yeah.
Then consider the alternative and the consequences, and decide which alternative he will choose, and then do it.
Yeah.
See what I mean? Therefore, what I am saying is, daily living means having to do something in a given situation. And all day, what does anybody do? Make a decision to do something or not make a decision to do something, which means doing nothing. So if the mechanism of daily living means everybody exercising his free will, that's what it comes to. Every human being everywhere, at any time, at any place, has to decide, in a situation which I am facing, what do I do? And he has to do it, or decide not to do anything. So he does nothing. And the result of which, no human being has ever had any control. So my point is, there are two basic facts of life. One, I am free to do whatever I want. I have total free will. Two, I exercise that free will, but I have no control over the result and the consequence of that result.
Yes.
These are the two basic facts of life. If you combine the two, in a given situation, I am free to do what I like, but the result is never in my control. Therefore, it is impossible for anyone to ensure that he always does the right thing or the correct thing.
Right, and maybe there's no such thing as the right thing? Is there some...
Or right thing
Does that mean anything? The
right thing means that which gives you what you wanted.
Is that what it means?
Oh yeah.
Oh, right, okay. Sometimes I don't know what I want, and sometimes I think it doesn't matter.
But that is once in a way. Sometimes. You said use the word sometimes. That is correct. Sometimes.
Sometimes.
But most times you do know what you want.
Right.
And you do something in order to get what you want.
Yeah.
But the point I'm making is, having done what you wanted to do, nobody has the gift of knowing exactly what is right.
Sure.
Whether you will get it or you won't get it.
Yes. Yeah.
And what is everybody's experience? Sometimes I've got what I wanted, sometimes I've not got what I wanted, and sometimes what I got was beyond expectation.
Yeah.
Many times for the worse, sometimes for the better.
Sure.
Therefore what I'm saying is, daily living is based on doing. Doing something in any situation.
Yeah.
So when I know that that is the mechanism of daily living, how can I accept that the human being does nothing?
Yes,
See what I mean?
of course. I mean, it appears that we're doing things all the time. It appears we're making
We are
decisions.
doing something all the time.
Yeah.
Therefore, because of this mechanism of daily living, for the average human being to accept that he is not the doer is not easy.
No. That's true.
That's one part. And the second is, someone only reasonably comfortable in life, like us,
Yeah.
will be interested in this. Because what am I? What is the true happiness you want in life? That's my question. Not how to get heaven or how to get enlightenment. My point is, you want to be happy.
Sure. Yeah.
Ultimately, what do you want?
Yeah.
To be happy.
Yeah.
You say enlightenment. Then I'll say, what do you think enlightenment will give you that makes it acceptable? Why should I? And those are two questions which no guru could answer. What specifically is enlightenment? And what will I get out of enlightenment if and when I do get it? Nobody will. And so therefore, after not getting an answer for 35, 40 years to this basic question, mind you, I've never been an intense, I don't have the time to be an intense seeker, but it's been there all the time. Nobody has given me the answers to this. Therefore, when I retired, I decided I shall now stop pursuing enlightenment, because enlightenment is a myth.
Right.
See what I mean?
Yeah.
Therefore, what do I want out of enlightenment? Forget somebody telling me what I'll get.
Yeah.
What do I want out of enlightenment? Only repeatedly the question came, happiness. Happiness. See what I mean? Therefore, when I started after retirement, my first question was, I know what enjoyment is, and yet I am seeking happiness. Therefore, what is this happiness I am seeking, which is not enjoyment? Totally practical. And the only answer I could come to was, enjoyment is something which happens to me because of some happening in the world. Some happening happens, and that somebody uses to help me or hurt me. Therefore, anything that happens to give me enjoyment, it has to happen in life. And therefore, it's quite a stunning discovery really, that the happiness I'm seeking has nothing to do with what happens in life. What happens in life mostly will give me pleasure or pain. So therefore, the stunning conclusion I came to, on the happiness I'm seeking, does not depend on what happens in life, but in my attitude to life. Then further, attitude to life. What do I mean by attitude to life? Go through it, it's not easy.
Yeah.
And I came to the conclusion, my attitude to life can only mean my attitude towards the other, me and the other. That is the basis of daily living. The other may be a close relative, or a neighbor or someone connected with my business or occupation, or a total stranger. Nobody can really know who the other is going to be at what time. And by happiness I meant clearly that I don't want to be uncomfortable with myself or with the other. So all this based on daily living and logical.
Yeah. So did you you came to all that, and you just came to a point where you changed your attitude?
That is the question. Therefore I have to find out what has been my attitude towards the other so far,
Right.
which has not brought me the happiness, but what has brought me is unhappiness. You see? And the answer I came to was, my attitude towards the other, whoever the other is, at the end of the day, it means being afraid of the other taking something away from me, however close.
Yeah.
We hear quite a few reports every day. Father has killed the son has killed the father, brother has killed the brother. There may be regrets later, that is different. Therefore I came to the conclusion, my relationship with the other has not brought me happiness because it has been based on fear, sometimes enmity, but certainly envy and jealousy.
Sure.
I mean, if you honestly see that, that's what it comes to.
Yeah.
Therefore the answer was, for me to get happiness, my attitude towards the other has to be totally harmonious. Then for my attitude towards the other to be totally, uniformly harmonious, I came to the conclusion, very difficult conclusion, that I can be never uncomfortable with myself, I can never be uncomfortable with the only if I am able to accept totally. No human being is capable of doing anything. And this is precisely what the 4 words in the Bible say. Thy will be done. See what I mean?
Yes.
And one of the most difficult things to accept, because the mechanism of daily living means everybody is doing precisely what he or she wants to do in a given situation, which is not in his control.
Sorry?
Which is not in his control.
No.
The next situation is nobody's control. But therefore, it has to happen. It has to happen. And if it has to happen like anything else in life, it depends on my destiny, God's will, cosmic law.
Yeah.
From this, you will wonder, or you should, why do I worry about enlightenment? Why should I worry about enlightenment? What will enlightenment get for me? And in most cases, in most religions, enlightenment is supposed to give you a more comfortable next life. Next life. And my point was, I want happiness for Ramesh in this life.
Yeah, good idea, yeah.
In the next life, Ramesh may not be Ramesh.
Sure.
Chances are he's not. New birth, new ego. So why should I worry about some other ego getting a more comfortable life? Even assuming it's true.
Yeah, sure, we don't know. I don't know.
But ultimately, the most comforting thing I came to know for an average person who is not a seeker and who at some time or the other in life regrets that you are not a seeker. Maybe on his deathbed. Have I been happy? No. I've not been happy. I've never been a spiritual seeker, that's why. I should have been a spiritual seeker. I wasted my life. Wasted my life. So for such a person, what I'm saying is, you don't have to worry whether when you die you'll be enlightened or not. Would you agree with that? You don't have to worry whether before you die, before you die, you had total enlightenment or not. It worries many people, even if they are not seekers.
Sure.
Deep down, they may not accept it, but they are also deep down. Because rebirth or not, I don't know. But what is going to happen to me when I'm dead, after I'm dead? Why is it so difficult to get rid of that idea? Because our daily habit and what we know is, after every deep sleep, I wake up.
Yeah.
So after this deep sleep, what will happen when I wake up? It's not easy to imagine deep sleep without having to wake up. But that is precisely what it is. It's permanent deep sleep. In other words, what I'm saying is, it doesn't really matter whether it is Adolf Hitler who died without any enlightenment, or says Ramana. Why? Why do you think?
Well, all, those two beings, they're all part of the cosmic picture.
No, for one reason. My ego, my ego did not come with my birth. The ego in every case takes over the body, mind, organism and identification. Science, according to science, is around the age of 2.5, or sometimes 3 maybe. And my own experience has been that almost every child refers to himself or herself as he or she until the ego takes over. Until then, I've seen them making them. He doesn't like it, she is afraid. See what I mean? Therefore, something which came after my birth presumably will die after my death, after the death of the body. What I'm saying here, I'm basing my concept on my experience.
Sure.
You know what therefore I have to go into all the questions. The question that I anticipated. Yes, but some people do remember their past lives. How can I say there is not going to be any rebirth? See what I mean?
Yeah.
Isn't that a valid question?
Yes.
And what is the answer? The answer is, there is memory of a previous life. But why do you say my previous life? Therefore, if there are certain memories of a past life that has been introduced into that body, mind, organism according to your destiny. So what you have is a memory of a previous life and not your previous life. See what I mean?
Yeah.
Therefore, I anticipated all questions and provided the answers.
Thank you, Ramesh. Thank you.
Yes, come.
Living she may yet have some question. In case she may yet have a question, can you come?
Yes, sure. And when I talk to him, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to bring them up. Okay? Yes, Dharma.
No, I was just a few minutes before you made a comment, so I was just that triggered me a question.
Sure.
So if you don't mind, I can just get some clarification.
Go ahead.
So you stated that you came to the conclusion that the realization which you sought was a myth.
I thought. But when I argued about it, but what was my experience? My experience was that it is not a myth, provided I decided what I wanted after enlightenment and I got it. Therefore, after retirement, I pursued not enlightenment, but I pursued happiness for myself.
In other words, what you imply is that more important than realization is what realization is supposed to bring about in personal life.
Exactly.
And that is happiness.
That is my point.
So
You want enlightenment. Why do you want enlightenment?
Yeah. So my question was,
Yes.
and but I wanted you to explain that. So just as you feel realization is a myth, is not happiness, total happiness, also a sort of myth?
No, because if I have the total acceptance, which makes it enlightenment, that the human being cannot be the doer of any deed. If I accept that concept totally, then I'm never uncomfortable with myself and I'm never uncomfortable with the other. And that is my definition of happiness. That is therefore happiness is a personal concept, yes. And therefore enlightenment also is a personal concept. Enlightenment has never ever been a certified event. That is why no one can say what specifically is enlightenment.
So just as enlightenment is a personal concept,
Yes,
so happiness is also a
Indeed.
personal concept.
indeed.
So it can change from person to person.
Sorry?
It can change from person to
It
person.
does.
So what one means by happiness is can be
Personal, yeah.
very different
Now look,
things.
a drunkard who has tried number of times to give up his alcohol, he can't. So for him, happiness will be being drunk. For him, happiness will be remaining drunk all the time.
So I was just trying to probe this question of what happiness is. What exactly
Go
is
ahead,
happiness.
go ahead.
So to be not to be uncomfortable is happiness.
My concept. Not to be uncomfortable with myself, not to be uncomfortable with
So
the
the
other.
pleasures and pains will come, but in the presence of pains and pleasures, to be still not uncomfortable is to be in a state of happiness.
That is my concept. And honestly,
And not wishing it to go away.
and
or-
honestly, I would like
that
to
means
have.
in this there is no complaint, right?
I would like to have an alternative to happiness. I would like to know if there is any other definition to define happiness. In other words, what I am saying is,
So I wanted to know your views on. So there have been certain statements made, happiness or whatever. I don't want to use the other word which you not so much like bliss and all. Ananda. Ananda has been conceived as a
misconceived
okay
as bliss. Ananda
as
has been
something which
misconceived.
transcends both pleasure and pain.
Yes.
So what is your comment on that? What do you think? Is there something which transcends both these things?
Yeah, peace of mind. Happiness through peace of mind. And that is what the Hindu traditional word says. What is enlightenment supposed to bring you? Enlightenment is supposed to bring you Ananda. Ananda means not bliss, but peace of mind. Ananda means contentment, peace of mind. Peace of mind means...
Sometimes, Ramesh Ma'am, I feel that when trying to understand these things, one is usually explaining realization in terms of happiness, and happiness in terms of peace of mind. So one is going on using certain words. There is no concrete definition of anything.
Therefore, any definition is based on a concept. Any definition is based on a concept.
So it's all living in a conceptual world.
That's the point.
There is nothing real about
That
it.
is the point. That is the point. That's why the old word Maya has been used for that reason. Maya is, we are living in an appearance. There is nothing real about it.
So those who say they are realized, like Ramana Maharshi, are also in the Maya world?
No. They are real, they are self-realized, they are enlightened according to their concept of what is enlightenment.
Their concept. So it is a very higher.
Therefore, I told you, enlightenment has never ever been a certified event.
So it's nothing like concrete. What you mean by certified event is nothing can concretely be said about what it is impersonally.
Yeah, which is justifiable.
Which is justifiable by means of logic and reason.
Or authority. You are a doctor. You have been certified to be a doctor. You are a PhD. You have been certified that you are a PhD. So that kind of certificate enlightenment cannot have. Therefore, whoever has said he is enlightened according to his concept.
So similarly, a person can be happy in his own concept of happiness.
Indeed.
Like a drunkard or even a
Indeed.
person who is...
All he has to ask himself is, do I feel happy when I'm dead drunk? That he has to ask himself. Or at that time, I wish I was not a drunk. I wish I didn't have this terrible habit. A wish like that is an indication of being unhappy.
Now, these things which
But it's
sometimes,
personal,
I want to little your comment about. There have been, many experiments and many people use certain drugs, Prozac and something, many things. So they claim that they achieve happiness through that.
So what they have done is, they have hypnotized themselves into mistaking a pleasure for happiness. Mistaking a pleasure for being happy.
So what they experience at their personal level during those whatever the experiences they have is again a illusion, not a real thing. It's not real pleasure. It is a pleasure. It is not a happiness.
Now wait a minute. Anything that happens in life is an illusion. An illusion which happens in one broad illusion of there's only one reality, and that is the reality which is the source. Unmanifest reality is the only thing. The moment there is manifestation, it's an appearance. And we are all appearances in this wide appearance. Therefore, the final truth, if any, is, according to my concept, there has never been a creation. There never has been a dissolution. The creation itself is a huge appearance, and we are all appearances in that appearance. We are all characters in that movie, but the movie is already in the can. Whatever happens in the movie is already in the can. You can see it on the screen. But what you see on the screen is happening to a number of creatures, from the beginning of the Big Bang to the end of it. So whatever happens is happening like as in a movie. And whatever is in a movie is already there, it's in the can, and we are watching it.
So some people have defined happiness in, psychologists have also dealt with that. And in recent years they have brought out a field subject called hedonics or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Hedonics, study of happiness. That is something I am told is a new development in psychology. And there they have defined 3 levels of happiness. I want to ask you your opinion on that.
What you have read are 3. What is to prevent from 10 different stages?
No, this is what these people have.
That's what I'm telling you.
There is nothing hard and concrete about it. But one of the things which they stress in all this is not that body, mental, physical or happiness, pleasures, but something which they attribute to fulfillment. The word.
They use the word fulfillment. I said I'm never uncomfortable with myself.
I was just thinking it was just another word.
Just another word.
Yeah. So it's not realization of one's potential, fulfillment.
Yes. And my point is, it's easy to use a word which is difficult to understand. Easy to use a word which can be easily confused.
Yes.
Therefore, I use the word.
And most of them confused, because none of them is really properly defined.
That's the point.
And that's my main problem in all these things. Because one thing is explained in terms of another one, and that is also not clear. So I have this problem.
Therefore, your problem is eternal problem.
Yes, it has been.
Everything in life is a concept. There is no truth, except the one fundamental truth, and that is there never has been.
Even whether the concept of truth is again a concept.
Yeah.
It's a concept. May not be reality. So I am even doubting that problem.
No, you can't.
So whether what human beings considered as reality,
Yes.
unmanifest and all, it could be just
Sure.
real human concept and
Yes.
may not be real. So I am really confused.
May I ask you one question?
Yeah.
Who is confused?
I don't know.
Who is confused?
This thinking animal.
A character in a movie.
Yeah.
A character in a movie. That's the point. Ultimately, it's a character in the movie who is troubled. What happened before the movie? Nothing.
Sometimes I feel there is really nothing. We are only creating illusory things and living in that.
And that is the real thing.
That also, that also may be illusory. So I really do not know. Maybe nothing can be said with certainty about anything.
Therefore, Dayananda, what is the point?
Yes. Better to keep quiet.
Stop asking questions.
Stop asking questions.
And why stop asking questions? Who is asking this question? A three-dimensional object, which together with millions of other objects constitutes the totality of manifestation. Ultimately, who is the human being? He is fundamentally a three-dimensional object who cannot think, who cannot speak, who cannot listen.
He thinks he can think, that's a problem.
That is the divine hypnosis. That precisely is the divine hypnosis. Divine hypnosis is what makes a robot believe he is the doer.
I will leave it at that, because these are the problems I feel. The more I think and read about this, I find we are just going in circles, and really nobody really knows anything.
You know how to stop the circle?
I don't know whether I can stop it.
Who is this?
I don't know who is this stopping.
It's a three-dimensional object. What do you mean you don't know? fundamentally every human being is a three-dimensional object through which happenings happen according to the unmanifest source. Therefore, the unmanifest source functioning through every body-mind organism, which is fundamentally an object who can.
I was grilled this concept through Vedanta for all this time. It is the Brahman and Atman, consciousness principle, Chit Tattva, which enables and operates through everything.
Therefore,
happens because of that. So all these, I'm really not, I don't know how is it.
What
really
is the
true?
essence of Advaita?
Huh?
What is the essence of Advaita? Essence of Advaita is the human being is incapable of doing anything because he is only a three-dimensional object. Therefore, whatever happens is an appearance brought about by the source of God through a three-dimensional object, through the intervention of an ego. In other words, the basic Advaita, the source of God, has identified itself with a particular name and form so that daily living can happen. So, what is the basic question now? Basic question. Why did the manifestation have to be there? Isn't that right?
Yeah.
Why should God create a manifestation and people therein who are unhappy, they have no other business except to create the human being and make him unhappy? You know what the answer to that is? The answer to that is that the soul, by its very nature, that also is part of Advaita, the source by its very nature was forced to manifest itself. The unmanifest soul was forced to manifest itself. And the answer to that is, if I see the source as impersonal energy, potential energy, potential throbbing energy, or the source is to be dead matter. So if it is not dead matter, if it is throbbing potential energy, then it is the nature of energy to activate itself into a manifestation sometime or the other. Therefore, the unmanifest source, the oneness, had to become a duality in manifestation, because the nature of the energy, the fundamental nature of energy, to activate itself, otherwise it will be dead matter. And all this, remember, is a concept. It is a concept.
Not only human concept.
And what is a human being?
And human being,
What is a human being?
Human being
An
is
object, three-dimensional object.
highly limited object. So whatever human being conceives is by very logic is wrong.
He is the source functioning through the human object or animal object. Therefore, the ultimate conclusion is every human being is merely a three-dimensional object through which the source or energy functions and brings about whatever is supposed to happen according to a cosmic law.
What is there to support this thesis?
Who wants to know? Who needs support?
This thinking animal.
No, it's a three-dimensional object. Three-dimensional, that's the ultimate. Three-dimensional object cannot demand any explanation about anything. Therefore, the ultimate, absolutely the ultimate acceptance is that every human being is merely a three-dimensional object through which the unmanifest source is functioning and bringing about whatever is supposed to happen. Why? Because the source has energy. The nature of energy is to activate itself sometime, otherwise it will be dead matter.
So one is asked to identify oneself with that source.
No.
The real nature is that of
I would say, identify yourself.
the real nature is that of the source
No.
and not the three-dimensional object.
It is a three-dimensional object. To realize that you are only a three-dimensional object, through which the source is functioning, not me, the ego. That is the ultimate understanding.
But is not the Vedanta telling you you are not the three-dimensional object, but you are really the source which is operating through the three-dimensional object?
That is what Vedanta tells you, not Ramesh. Therefore, what I say, you think you are the source and you get into all kinds of trouble. You accept that you are only a three-dimensional object, no problem. Three-dimensional object cannot have a problem.
I thought that was the other way around. That if you think yourself a three-dimensional object, you will have all the problems. If you think you are the source, you are impersonal and therefore no problems. And that is the only way to know the happiness.
Who will have
That is the Vedanta concept, I thought.
That's the Vedanta concept, not mine.
Yeah. So the happiness is realizing that you are the unmanifest source, not the three-dimensional.
Or, if it's easier, you accept. I'm only a three-dimensional object. What right have I got to expect anything?
Both of them are equally difficult to accept. That one is a source, one is a three-dimensional object.
Why? Because it is a three-dimensional object. Because it's a three-dimensional object. So my point is, ultimately, if you agree that you are a three-dimensional object, all conceptualization must stop, must cease.
So identify yourself as a three-dimensional object. That is what you are saying.
Who has no power to do anything, is only an object.
So that you are not the doer because you are the three-dimensional object, accept that. That is the final.
Which is a fact.
I don't know whether it's a fact or concept. I am again that problem.
Fine. So treat it as a concept.
What would you call a fact and what?
Treat it as a concept.
What is a fact which is not a concept? I am not sure.
Treat it as a concept.
Well, which is helpful.
Yes. So if it suits the three-dimensional object, to treat all this as a concept, he is welcome. If an object is entitled to consider himself as an object, why not?
And that can give happiness.
My point is really the same, two sides of it. You are either an object, the other perspective is you are that which functions through the object, which is the soul.
Yes, so two views. And you accept the former one.
Two perspectives, yes, two perspectives. I accept both.
Oh, I see.
I accept both. So that whichever perspective I accept, I'm not unhappy. Because no questions remain unanswered.
So either you are a doer of everything, being a source,
Yes,
or you are a doer of nothing, being a three-dimensional object.
that's right.
In either case, you are supposed to be happy, right?
In either case, you are in your original nature. Why call it happiness?
That's what we are trying to search, Ramesh Ma'am, whether what is our original nature, whether we are three-dimensional object or the source functioning through that. I am not sure which is which. So there are two opinions and you say both are acceptable.
My point is, if I say I'm an three-dimensional object, no more question. If I say that I'm the source of God, no more question. Either perspective.
So all other things like happiness, peace of mind, just forget about them.
Are concepts.
How?
are concepts. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes.
It's very confusing. No, really, Ramesh, I don't understand a word you're saying, honestly. I don't understand a word I don't know what you're talking about.
I have no doubt. I have no doubt that is so.
And I agreed with the former questioner. I mean this. Firstly, you've accepted that the happiness is for the ego. So if you accept that the ego's on a quest for happiness, and then you say, who wants to know a three-dimensional object? Who has the right to know? But you also say the ego wants the fictitious ego wants the fictitious happiness. And the ego's been told it's a little ego. It's been told that it's a little doer of its actions, stuffed inside a body. This is the original theory. This is what you're taught as a kid. You're locked inside a body and you're going to die and be eaten by worms. It's a very frightening...
So, if you accept that you are only a three-dimensional object, how can any question be there?
Why do you say...
It stops all questions.
But it doesn't stop all questions. When you say three-dimensional object, you mean you accept you're the body. You're the body and nothing else.
No, I'm saying you're a three-dimensional object. I'm not saying you're the body. The body is a three-dimensional object.
The body is a three-dimensional.
Yes.
So you're saying you're just the body.
No, I still say it's a three-dimensional object.
But that makes it confusing. Why do you say three-dimensional? I mean, instead of saying you're just a body, why put three-dimensional? It adds more confusion. I start thinking of a
Do you want to make
hologram.
it four-dimensional?
No, but why forget the
Or
dimension?
two-dimensional?
But forget the dimension, just a body. You're a body. You could say, yeah.
And that is an object.
Yeah, okay, so now the original story, which is very frightening, is I'm this body and this body only. This is the original thing which I believed. And so if you're affirming that I am this body, then of course it's the same as the rest of the world. But you're not affirming I'm just this body, you're saying at the same time you're the source, which is much more of a relief.
It means relief. For whom?
For the one that...
Gabriel.
Yes, but Gabriel is the one that believes he's in bondage, the one that believes he's located inside a body.
I know. And therefore, Gabriel has to understand all there is ultimately, fundamentally, a three-dimensional object, or an object, an object.
Yes, and I think that's me. That object, I think, is me. This is the whole problem. This, me and me alone.
Yes, and the point is, Gabriel projects that an object cannot think, cannot ask a question, cannot demand an answer.
But why can't it? It can speak, it can hear, it can see, it can smell. Why are you saying it can't do this?
Because the object is part of the totality of manifestation. What you are saying is, you don't accept that the human being fundamentally is a three-dimensional object, or an object.
It is an object, but like you said, it's been imbued with sentience, or the ability to
it is
question.
an object. It is a particular kind of object, agreed. But nonetheless, fundamentally still an object.
Alright.
Fundamentally still an object. Different kind of object, special kind of object, but still an object.
But why are you saying object as opposed to subject? You're saying object, which implies a subject. So it's not the subject. When you're saying object, you're implying it's not the subject.
The object is believe that he is the subject. He is the doer. That's why the problem. So all that the object has to, the understanding has to happen, whoever is to have that understanding, that an object cannot ask any question.
Well, why is it asking questions and why does it feel so restless? The fact is, it is asking questions. It is restless.
because he doesn't realize that he is an object. He's been hypnotized, divine hypnosis. But I am a separate entity. I can do what I want, which is the ego. Therefore, ultimately, it is the ego who has to come to the firm conviction that fundamentally he is only a robot. Ultimately, the robot who thinks he is a separate entity with doership has to come to the understanding that he is only a robot, and no robot can have any independent entity as the doer.
No robot can have any independent entity as the doer. All right. So this restless seeking, you're saying it stops when I realise I'm a robot, when I have the conviction I'm a robot. And the reason you're saying I'm a robot is because I don't do anything. The source is doing everything. This is why I'm.
Whether it happens or not is the destiny of this ego.
So you're not actually giving a solution to the problem, you're just describing what the problem is.
Indeed.
But there's no solution.
Indeed.
So why do you say your teaching is about daily living, but there's no, you're not actually giving a solution in daily living, you're just...
It's about daily living, not providing solutions for every human being in the daily living.
Well, it's like you said, there's nothing you can do. You're talking to a robot, so it's just a matter of grace. You're basically... It's grace that
Yes.
So if it's grace, you don't have a solution.
It's a matter of grace that one robot is talking to another robot, but with this difference that this robot knows he is a robot, whereas this robot thinks he is a separate entity.
Yes, and I'll tell you why I think I'm a separate entity. Because of a billion voices through years and years, like a mantra, drumming it into my head day after day, hour after hour. It's very logical. And of course, to reverse that process is bloody difficult. It was hard enough learning it, and now I've got to unlearn it, but I had something to say there very important. Ramana says, to quote Ramana, he says that, I got it on my phone. Can I just get it out? Because it... Yes, I've dropped my phone. Sorry, I can't find my phone. You see, that's God's will. But he basically says that the unhappiness, he says unhappiness is due to wrong identification. He says, so find out what, he says, eliminate this area. This is why you're unhappy. You believe you're something little when you're something very big. It's very logical I'm unhappy. If what he's saying is true, if I am the whole show and everybody in it and everything in it, if that's my real nature, then of course I'm going to be unhappy, believing I'm a beggar. It's logical. So he says, eliminate the error. You've been told that you're a beggar when you're really a king, basically. So now how to remember that I'm a king? You all say, who's to remember?
Look,
a three-dimensional object.
A king can dream that he is a beggar and be unhappy.
Yes. Yes. A king can dream he's a beggar and be unhappy. Yes.
Whereas a beggar who thinks he is a king will be happy in the dream.
So what you're saying to the beggar is you're saying that the king's dreaming you. You're not dreaming that.
Now I will tell the beggar, enjoy your dream. Enjoy your dream.
Yes.
Okay?
Can I just ask?
Please.
How can a three-dimensional object consider itself as a three-dimensional object?
Divine hypnosis. Divine hypnosis, which makes A robot believes he is not a robot. He is an independent entity.
No, what I say is he can't even consider himself as a three-dimensional object. How can an object consider himself as an object?
That is divine hypnosis. Divine hypnosis.
That very consideration of himself as a three-dimensional object is a sense of doership. It's a concept. That is also him who is infusing it.
So, Rohit, what do you have to say? So what?
So there is nothing.
Fine, I
Ask
agree.
nothing.
I agree. I agree, and you have the last word.
No. Who has the last word? If I am there, I am a three-dimensional object. How can I have a last word, sir?
A three-dimensional object who believes he is a separate entity with doership. And that has been brought about by divine hypnosis.
I agree. Then another thing. This wanting is also a sense of personal doership. It is an impersonal wanting, taking delivery of, it is the wanting is of the body-mind organism. And to consider that it is my want, is it not
Wanting,
a sense of personal doership?
wanting is a happening. Wanting is fundamentally a thought. A thought which arises in your mind.
Which is taken delivery of the ego and then it pursues.
And the thought, vertical thought, goes into horizontal thinking.
Consider himself as a separate entity with a sense of
That's
personal
right.
doership.
That's right.
What a joke. What a joke.
The whole thing is a joke. Okay.
Thank you very much, sir.
Not
It was
at all.
wonderful today. It was very much wonderful.
Ramesh, I found the quote. He's just to read it exactly what he said. He said, "Your nature is happiness." This is Ramana. He said, "Your nature is happiness. You say it is not apparent. See what obstructs you from your true being. It is the wrong identity. Eliminate the error."
Eliminate the error by never forgetting. Fundamentally, you are a three-dimensional object.
Am I anything else other than a three-dimensional object?
No. Therefore, the three-dimensional object cannot do anything, cannot think, cannot speak, cannot get angry.
I'm just trying to think. So if I'm a three-dimensional object, Ramesh, how can it be designed to seek for something that it's not? It wouldn't make sense. It must be seeking for something it knows it is, deep down.
Yes, I entirely agree with you. We cannot make sense about what God has created.
Okay, so right. So but the seeking's obviously for something. It doesn't just. My experience, it doesn't just stop. Even if I'd love it to stop, even though I repeat 1,000 times, I'm not the doer. It's still going on.
Which is what I'm saying. Because it's something which goes on in a three-dimensional object.
Right.
Over which object has no control. Okay, anyway.